It's midday. Good afternoon. Here is the midday news on OGBC. My name is Titilope Awobajo. First, the major items. Minister of Education issues directives for development of skill curriculum in schools. The Ogun State Governor is proposing a bill for a law to improve electricity. Bangladesh has a microfinance professor head of the interim government. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Maman, has directed the National Board for Technical Education (NBTE) and the Nigerian Education Research and Development Council (NERDC) to develop skills curriculum for adoption and implementation. The minister made a call in Abuja on Tuesday. He urged the agencies to come up with a skills curriculum for all levels of education and make it ready before the commencement of next academic session in September. The minister said the implementation of the skills curriculum by schools would help in addressing learning crisis across the country. Members of the House of Representatives have yet to implement their resolution to slash their salaries by 50% for the next 6 months. The federal lawmakers made the resolution on July 18th, and it was expected to reflect in their salaries for the month of July. But the spokesman for the House of Representatives, Mr. Rotimi Akin, blamed bureaucracy for the delayed implementation. The lawmakers had made the promise while deliberating on a motion seeking to forestall the nationwide hunger protest, which began on 1st of August. The local refineries in the country have yet to start the purchase of crude in Naira as directed by President Bola Tinubu. According to the Crude Oil Refiners Association, letters have been written to NNPCL by individual refiners requesting crude, but there has been no response yet. The Federal Executive Council recently adopted a proposal by President Tinubu to sell crude to the local refiners in Naira. 1 week after the announcement, the refiners said they had not heard from the NNPCL. Back home, Governor Dapo Abiodun has proposed a bill for a law to improve electricity generation, transmission, and distribution within the state. The Speaker, Ogun State House of Assembly, the Right Honorable Oludaisi Elemide, read the governor's letter during the plenary on Tuesday. The bill also seeks to establish an electricity maker and key power sector bodies and as well enforce consumer rights and obligations and for other connected purposes. The governor's message noted that the bill, which was approved at the Executive Council meeting earlier this month, is necessitated by the passage of the Electricity Act 2023, which empowers states to provide a comprehensive legal and institutional framework for the power sector. Still at home, the Ogun State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, on Tuesday inaugurated a 13-member state working committee of the National Agricultural Growth Scheme, AgroPocket, with an assurance that the state is working towards producing for local consumption and export. Inaugurating the committee at Okemoson Abeokuta, its chairman, Governor Dapo Abiodun, said his administration is committed to developing all sectors of the state economy, particularly agriculture, due to its potentials in revenue and employment generation, as well as food security and poverty alleviation. The governor informed that his target is to produce enough food to attain self-sufficiency in a short time and in long time by producing enough food for other states and for export, adding that his administration has recognized the immense potentials of the agricultural sector, especially in employment generation, revenue generation, food security, and poverty alleviation. You're listening to the midday news on OGBC 90.5 FM. Bangladesh presidency this Wednesday announced that the country's Nobel-winning microfinance pioneer, Professor Muhammad Yunus, will lead an interim government after mass protest forced longtime Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina to flee. The appointment came quickly after student leaders called on the 84-year-old Professor Yunus, credited with lifting millions out of poverty in the South Asian country, to lead. The decision was made in a meeting with President Mohammed Shahabuddin, the heads of the Army, Navy, and Air Force, and student leaders. The presidency, in a statement, said they decided to form an interim government with Professor Mohammed Yunus as its chief. President Shahabuddin agreed that the interim government will be formed within the shortest time possible. A Thai court has ordered the dissolution of the Reformist Party, which won the most seats and votes in last year's election, but was blocked from forming a government. The ruling also banned move towards charismatic young former leader Peter Limja Rorat and 10 other senior figures from politics for 10 years. The verdict from the Constitutional Court was expected after ruling in January. The move forward's campaign promise to change royal defamation laws was unconstitutional. The court had said changes to the notoriously harsh lese majesty law was tantamount to calling for the destruction of the constitutional monarchy. This Wednesday's verdict again serves as a reminder of how far unelected institutions are willing to go to preserve the power and states of the monarch. Kamala Harris, the Democratic Party's candidate for November's United States presidential election, has held her first rally with running mates Mr. Tim Walz, describing their campaign as a fight for our future. The two took the stage in Pennsylvania to Beyonce's Freedom, just hours after Harris named Walz, the governor of Minnesota, as a vice presidential pick. Democrats are hoping Walz's down-to-earth background will win over voters in crucial swing states in the Midwestern region, including Wisconsin and Michigan. A former Attorney General of California, 59-year-old Harris, has sought to contrast her past as a prosecutor with Republican rival Donald Trump's criminal records. He targeted Republicans for pursuing restrictions on women's reproductive rights, an issue that has plagued the party since the U.S. Supreme Court in 2022 ended women's constitutional right to abortion. Also, the United States this Wednesday said it would provide nearly $414 million in humanitarian assistance for the Democratic Republic of Congo, where more than 25 million people need such aid, nearly a quarter of the country's population. U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations Agencies for Food and Agriculture, Mr. Jeffrey Prescott, said a significant amount of the money will go to United Nations agencies and aid groups providing urgent food assistance, healthcare and nutrition support, shelter, water sanitation, and hygiene. Mr. Prescott added that the funding also includes direct support of agricultural commodities from American farmers who will formally announce the aid in Kinshasa with U.S. Ambassador to the DRC, Lucy Talman. Mr. Prescott said he hoped the U.S. funding would encourage other countries to also help step up and as well help DRC. On sports, Chelsea manager Enzo Maresca says he is trying to solve his side's habit of conceding too many goals after a 2-1 defeat by a young Real Madrid side in Charlotte. First half goals from Dani Ceballos and Brahim Diaz were enough for Madrid despite Noni Madueke's header as the Blues again looked vulnerable at the back. They have conceded 12 goals across 5 preseason games in America, going 4-0 down in 2 of those matches and winning 1. Maresca said he addressed a very high defensive line with his players in his first meeting and have to do more. Peace and unity are necessary ingredients for societal development. Let's promote harmonious relationship. To end the media news, another look at the major items. The Minister of Education, Professor Tahir Mahman, has directed the National Board for Technical Education and the Education Research and Development Council to develop skills curriculum for adoption and implementation in schools. Governor Dapo Abiodun of Ogun State has proposed a bill for a law to improve electricity generation, transmission, and distribution within the state. You also heard that Bangladesh presidency this Wednesday announced that the country's Nobel-winning microfinance pioneer, Professor Mohammed Yunus, will lead an interim government after protest forced longtime prime minister to flee. The media news was edited by Wahidu Kunjabi and broadcast from OGBC Abeokuta. For exclusive programs and the latest news updates, visit our website at openradio.ng. Follow us on Facebook at Open Radio Abeokuta and on X handle at Open Radio.